weekends and
Yeah,
you know,
I know.
yeah. And this jackwagon over here doesn't have
You got that
family or anything because no one cares about him, so that's okay. You know,
vagabond.
Here's
right?
All right, you guys ready?
Sure.
Let's start this thing.
Okay. So, okay, we're here with Chris Morgan of ex Firefighter for 30 years,
31.
25 years, 31. Yeah. Okay, so tell me a little bit how you got into it. Like, was like, when you were younger, did mom and dad like push you to be that, or
No.
what? Like,
My poor dad, he says, you're not going to do anything with your life and that sort of thing. And I said, well, I don't know what I want to do yet.
uh-huh.
So, I was going to AB Tech. I was taking drafting out of high school. And every Friday night we would go down to Sweet Creek Road right at the little store. That's where Bubba's is now.
Mm.
And we'd just sit there, back up there with our muscle cars and just sit there and shoot the breeze. And Robert Brown was down there one night, and John Moody and myself, and we were, and Kurt and a few of my buddies back in the day, and we're just talking about different things. And Robert says, well, I'm doing something new. And I said, what's that, Robert?
Showing leg or something? No.
Yeah. He said, well, I am trying to give back to the community, and I'm volunteering my spare time at the fire department and the Skyland Volunteer Fire Department, and we provide rescue services and fire service. That's before EMS was really a big thing to do. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool. And he says, well, you need to come. We meet every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And you come down there and you can sit and listen to us. We have training sessions, that sort of thing. And if you like it, maybe we can see if we can get you to join up. So I started doing that, and oh man, it just caught me on fire. I just wanted to learn everything that I could about firefighting. So that's how it began.
Okay. Because I've never asked you that before.
No.
Like how I even like last night, talking with your son. I was like, do you know how Dad became? He's like, Dad doesn't share anything like that with me. Like, what? And I'm like, or did you not ask? And he's like, it's probably a mixture of both of them because that's just who I am and that sort of thing. So, yeah. But how? So once you got going and everything, like, what did you have to take a test to get in there?
No, this is back in 74. That was a long time ago. 1974. Start adding it up, Zach.
I can't. I'm bad at math. Are you kidding? Physics and science, math.
But we didn't really do it. We had all kinds of people from the neighborhood and the community wanting to be firefighters. So we had a long list of people on a waiting list wanting to be voted in as a firefighter. And that's how you became a firefighter. Your peers voted you in.
Oh.
And, and if you got one thing, just one vote, you didn't make it.
Oh, wow.
So it was a blackball type of thing.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. That's the way they used to do it. But I got voted in, and, I got my we didn't have pagers back then. We had these great big old radios that you sit on your bedside table at night, and it, when the tone went off, it caused it to activate, and you got out of bed, and they said where it was at, and you put your clothes on and went to the fire.
Whoa.
At the same time, I was working at Taylor Instrument as a janitor and going to school at night.
What's Taylor Instrument? What's that?
Taylor Instrument was a plant that was over on Glenbridge Road, right at the corner of Old Shoals Road, that they now call, it's a rubber plant or something now. But that was, Taylor Instrument made instruments for medical. They made blood pressure cuffs, they made thermometers, they made all kinds of things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I was a janitor for them, and I worked during the day, and then at night I went to school at AV Tech. And I was taking my drafting. Well, that didn't last long because they started hiring full-time firefighters at Skyland.
Oh.
And they had 2 positions open. They had 3 positions open. And I applied for that. Myself, Charlie Brown, one of the Brown brothers at Brown's Pottery, applied.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Hall, a friend of mine from way back when.
Oh, yeah.
So the 3 of us, we applied and we got the jobs.
Okay.
And then, so I was working full time for the fire department, so I kind of let my school go. So I resigned from that. But I had a lot of the basics out of the way, the Englishes and the maths and things like that out of the way. So I had that banked
Right.
in the school transcript. So, I just stayed with Skyland and worked a shift. We worked 24 hours on, day and night, and we were off 48 hours.
Okay. I thought it was like 3 on, 2 off.
Well, it came to that eventually, but this was the first schedule, and it averaged 56 hours a week. So my starting salary in 1975 was $7,600 a year.
Wow. That's crazy.
I know. I think about that now.
Wow.
Man, how in the world did you ever make it?
Yeah, because nowadays, the salary for a firefighter's got to be what?
They start them about 37 to 40, depending upon their education and background. And then it goes up pretty quick from there.
That's almost as much as I looked at an Asheville garbage man. You know how much they make salary at that the rate that they are, and that's about the same.
Well, it is, and that's what the Firefighters Association has been fighting City Hall about, trying to get the firefighters a living wage.
Oh,
because the firefighters right now do not have a living wage.
Yeah.
They say, well, they work more hours so they get more money. Well, that may be true, but those hours are a lot harder than most people's hours out there.
Yeah.
Plus, these guys, they dedicate a lot of themselves to the fire service, and they deserve a living wage.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, even if they are staying at the house, that's
They do. They get to sleep at the firehouse at night, but of course they're on a moment's notice. They have to jump into their bunker pants and their fire gear and get on the truck and ride onto the fire and take care of business.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. How, when you're scooping up all your gear and throwing it on, you're putting on 60 pounds at least, or...
Well, if you put the air pack on as well, which is mandatory now, you're talking about anywhere from 60 to 80 pounds on your back.
Whoa.
Right.
Man.
And then you have to take a bundle of hose, extra bottles, and climb steps to go up there because you can't use the elevators. They all go to the bottom floor during a fire. And if you've got the key, you can bypass it, but you have to have the proper keys and authority to bypass the elevator.
Sure, but who's going to take an elevator?
Well, you don't want to get stuck on an elevator.
No.
So that's why it's pretty much standard practice to climb the stairs.
I see. Yeah, I gotcha. So what's the what's the biggest or tallest building that you've had to get in there and put something out?
Well, really nothing around Asheville like that in a high rise. They don't have that many high rises. What is it? It used to be the BB&T building. They call it something else now. That was the tallest building in Asheville. I think it was 17 stories.
Right.
Never really had a fire there.
Yeah.
I can't. Now we've had some hotel fires that have been, 8, 9 stories, something like that.
Ooh.
And you just have to run up the steps with things like that.
And
of course, then when was it? Back about 13 years ago, we had the Biltmore 441 Biltmore Avenue. I can't remember exactly what the name is, the number of the place was, but right there across from St. Joseph. It had the bridge across to St. Joseph and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Had the fire in there where we lost a firefighter, Jeff Bowen.
Yeah, that's right. That happened 10 years ago?
13 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Week.
Oh, this week.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So I mean, is a memorial service
We've
or?
already had it. They
Oh,
had it
okay.
last week.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was last week. It wasn't this week. It was last week.
Last week, huh? And do they do that every year for him?
They do.
Yeah.
They do some sort of small memorial.
Yeah. Have you? I mean, personally, have you lost anyone?
He was a captain when I was a chief there. He was a captain for me back in the day.
Oh,
A
wow.
long time ago. Yeah.
So close.
Jeff was a good guy. Yeah, I was close with him.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Pop.
Yeah.
You know, that's a really hard thing to take.
I think you need to tell everybody why you call me Pop and Dad.
Well, because I mean, essentially, you put me through school. Your basement, I guess, did. You know, I mean, shoot, you guys are like I mean, hey, everyone's helped this, whatever you want to call me, this lost figure in life out, I guess, you know.
Well, I miss my socks, Zach. You have not got me any socks.
Look, buddy.
Oh, my God.
Look, man. You know what thing is? Yeah, I got your damn socks, son. I got that for you. Are you kidding me?
Oh, man.
I was thinking about what to pick you out. They had donkeys. They got seals or whatever.
Great. That is so good.
Oh yeah, no, trust. I was gonna give it to you at the end to be like, and just for a good show. Thanks for coming out. Here's your socks. You know? Yeah. Oh no, I didn't forget about you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
So
great. Thank you, Zach.
and this time it wasn't any like little kittens or anything.
Yeah.
Maybe something that you could use instead of using off as like
These are nice dress socks. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know, the other ones probably ended
What are you
up.
going to give me for Christmas now?
I don't know. I like just wait. You know. Just wait. Maybe a thong or something.
Yeah.
Something's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah,
you
there
know?
you go.
No, I mean, hey, I mean, you've been there for me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
you're my other son. You're my other son for sure.
You know, I can't.
You and Bobby been close all these years.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and now we're working together.
Yeah, I know, that's cool.
Yeah, and thank God for him being around, because if he weren't, like, I was just telling this piece of white trash over here, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, yeah, I guess we can bleep that out or whatever. You know, I was just telling him that it's so nice to have Bobby around, just because if it weren't for him, I'd be like just working double, quadruple overtime just to make everything happen. Your son's making life easier, you know.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And I kind of thought he would have been like on the fence, you know, on like,
Well, he knows
you know.
he has to make a living, so you know he's got a son. He's got to make a living, so you know sometimes you do things you don't want to, but
yeah,
you have to.
that's right, you know. And I think right now he's like, you know, we all have bad days, you know, but he comes in, you know, we ride to work every morning, you know, and we get to chit chat about family and what's going on, and it's just nice to have, you know, him around to, you know, it was kind of like going back into my school days, you know, when he would help me out with things, you know, when I couldn't get a certain piece of animation right, or like I couldn't draw a certain, you know, perspective on something. He was, you know, he's always been there. Yeah. So like,
he's very talented. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I know that's what he likes doing.
Yeah.
But, like I said, you gotta pay the bills sometimes, don't you?
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. But so he has that talent of putting pen to paper and that sort of deal. Mom, Dad, did like anybody have the artistic ability that?
Well, as you know, Mom, she does design work. She's a design consultant for bathrooms, remodels, even new buildings. So she does that. She loves that. Her grandfather was an architect, and she took a little of that on, and probably passed that drawing talent on through, because Bettina can do it, as you know. Bettina's a great artist, and Delane not so much, April not so much.
Right.
yeah, the other two, they're really good artists. So.
I gotcha. One thing I haven't asked you out of all these years, brother, sister, do you have two
I have
brothers?
a brother.
Uh-huh.
And I have a sister.
Okay. And where are they?
My sister was 14 months younger than me. And my brother is 10 years younger than me.
Oh, so you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
I gotcha. And they're around here, or where are they?
They are. Derek lives over off Airport Road, and Teresa lives in Hendersonville, in Edneyville area.
I gotcha. Okay. And what do they do for a living?
Well, Teresa's retired. She worked for a medical Asheville Family Health for 25, 30 years, something like that. So she's retired, and Derek is still working. Of course, he's thinking about retirement now. He's throwing beer cases and stuff around, and wine bottles and things like that. So he works for Empire.
Oh,
and supplies them.
Okay.
And he likes the work, but he's like me. The body is starting to fail him.
Yeah. Out of all the years of doing like climbing stairs and ladders and everything else, that's what's broken
That's
a lot
what's
of.
broken me down. My knees, as you know, my right knee's been replaced twice. And I've got 2 hips, and yeah, I've been through it. I tell everybody, I say, if I'd known my body was going to feel like this when I got older, I wouldn't have been so hard on my body when I was younger.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people say that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I say that even at this age.
And I think one of the things that really hurt my knees is I used to race motorcycles and punching turns and going around and doing and wrecking.
Yeah.
But I didn't wreck that much. But punching turns and doing quick turns and things, I think that's what really pounded my knees to death.
Oh yeah. Did you used to go out there and race on?
Oh yeah, I used to race at Jonathan Creek and down the Little Brown Jug down in South Carolina. Went down there and raced. I mean, I didn't do it. I wasn't sponsored or anything. It's just I'd go out and race, pay the fee and race.
Yeah. I didn't know that you did that at all. There's just certain. I don't know, it's just strange out of all the years, because I don't see anything hung up in the house.
Well, I sold all that stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, you would think
there's one picture. That I still have of me riding a motorcycle around.
Where's that?
I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
Where is it?
It's up in my office.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I mean, since Bobby left, I don't get up there and look around and do all that sort of, because Bobby had all this crap everywhere. So it's like, Yeah. So tell me what it was. Did you ever drive the truck?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how was that?
I was a driver for a while. I even taught people how to drive a truck at Skyland. They'd have these young firefighters in there, and you need a CDL, at least a B license, if not an A license, to drive some of these trucks. And I would teach them the ropes of how to do it, how to go around doing your safety checks and all that sort of thing. That was fun. That was when I was between jobs after I had retired from the fire department.
I see. Because that thing's got to be so, I don't know. Every time I see a fire truck go by them, I was like, how do they do? I'm like, how do you not?
Yeah, when I first started, Zach, the fire trucks were slow. I mean, they were slow and they were hard to stop because there's a lot of weight. Trucks today, they put those big Detroits in them, and they've got 700-800 horsepower, and they'll go, and they've got good brakes and will stop well.
Oh yeah, because I mean, you gotta to stop, back in the day, you'd have to.
Oh man!
I mean,
sometimes we didn't stop. We'd go right through that.
Really?
Right through that intersection.
Oh, that's crazy.
You say, "Oh gosh, stop, everybody! Please let me go." And you're standing on the brakes, pulling on the steering wheel, trying to get it to stop. And sometimes they just didn't. They didn't do it. They just weren't made to.
That's crazy. Yeah, because every once in a while, I have a couple friends that are police officers.
Yeah.
And so there I was like, man, if I could go back, I would totally do the firefighter gig. Just because like they get all the the police are from what he said, the police are the first ones to be there, to undergo all of the scrutiny and everything else, and then the fire department kind of slides in there and cleans up all their mess, and they get all the heartfelt awards, or well, I mean, I don't know.
Well, you know what they've always said about that, right?
Do tell.
Oh yeah, it's firefighters
Uh-huh.
do it 4 people. Police officers do it 2 people.
Oh, okay. Note taken.
Yeah. I just a good friend of mine was a major with the police department, and I used to tease him about that all the time. Say, yeah, but you're so right.
Man, yeah, I would have never thought about. I mean, I'm slow like your fire truck back in the day, So it's just one of those things. But yeah, I've always just, I don't know, like. Because back in the day, before I got into UNCA and doing that whole thing, we had a conversation about becoming a fireman and that sort of thing. And one thing that just kind of resonated more than anything was you said, "Man, Zach, you'd be a great firefighter." And I'm like, I don't know if I would. I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of just the.
Well, that's one of the ways that we sort of screen those kind of people out that are afraid of heights.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you have to do in an agility test is climb a 100-foot aerial ladder at 70 degrees.
Oh my God!
And we have had people that freeze, get about 3/4 of the way up and freeze, and will not come down, will not go up, so we have to send rescue crew up.
Oh yeah, I'd make it like 3 step. I get nervous on a step stool right now. I mean it. Like I mean, you ask him. Like I don't do heights. Like doing roofing or anything like that. I'm like, nah, I'm a ground squirrel. Like that's just what I am.
You're the cut man.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'll be more than a cut man. I'll just run back and forth around the house for a while. Yeah, but. Yeah. So so heights don't bother you? What, like, out of anything in the job, what did bother you? Like, other than dying?
Probably the thing that bothered me the worst.
Yeah.
Was seeing kids get hurt and die.
Oh.
That probably hurt me and bothered me more than anything.
Wow.
And nowadays, back then they didn't do anything about it. You just toughed it,
Uh-huh.
We'd joke about it to help us get by with it, but we wouldn't do anything about it. Today they have CISD groups.
What is that?
Critical Incident Stress Debriefing.
Okay.
So you would go to these things after a bad call, and you would sit down and you'd sit down with your peers and a professional, and you'd do a hot debriefing. And that worked things out. And if you needed more, you'd have more there where you could get counseling.
I see. Huh.
We didn't have that back then.
Oh.
We just had to tough through it.
Because because
You'd see bad things. I mean, you see people get decapitated in car wrecks.
Really?
You'd see, people that you'd have to cut out seat belts that just mangled up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get gross or anything.
No.
It is gross. It's terrible.
Man, that is like, the jaws of life come out and all that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
oh man, like, I mean, I in my mind, I can foresee you going through and having to do stuff like that, but then at the same time, like, I don't know, Asheville's so small, you know, that like,
people.
Yeah. And then their families, and that's
Well, I give you an example.
yeah.
And it was back in the 80s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Got a call in the middle of the night. It's about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. Went out as a car wreck in front of Valley Springs School, the old Valley Springs School. And some of your listeners may remember the big rock columns that were in the front of it. Well, one of the cars that went through their wreck took one of those columns out, killed the driver instantly, and 2 or 3 of the other people were people I knew from school.
Really?
And one of them was Mike Mishu. I don't know if I can say names or not. You might have to blank that out.
No, I mean, I think we're good.
But he was. We saw that he wasn't breathing. He was all broke up, and I put an airway down him, and I didn't recognize him. I did not know who he was.
Whoa.
And then after we got out, and one of my good buddies said, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "That's Mike Mishu."
Whoa.
And he was a great football player. Probably could have gone to college. Probably could have gone on to the NFL.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, it was sad.
Man.
It was really tough.
Oh.
Yeah, we run into things like that, but we just kid about it. We try to get it off of our chest and kid about it, and
Yeah.
it gets hard sometimes.
Yeah, that's what, like, my some of my police officer friends, they say, like, the only way to get through it is just to, like, is to make fun of the situation, when it happens, even if it's the worst situation possible. But that's the only way to get through certain areas. And then he told me that the number one death of police officers is suicide.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, that's even, like, more mind-boggling to me because...
And not many police officers stay married. Their marriages fall apart because, stuff that they go through, and they can't talk to their spouse and that sort of... Not all of them, but a large majority of them.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, my mom, she... before I moved here, she was starting to become a nurse and everything, but they threw her in the ER, and they had this burnt victim that just came in. And so they were trying to switch him from gurney to gurney. And he was just, this guy looked like, Freddy Krueger's new nightmare in a way, right? And so they were supposed to go 1, 2, 3, lift. And my mom was supposed to, they had him in the neck brace and all that stuff.
Oh, no. I can imagine what happened.
Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3. And my mom lifted and the body, like, stayed there. So she's just holding this guy's head in her hands. And she was like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's just too much. Like, the ER is just way, like... too intense, too involved, or whatever you want to say. But,
well, I went to a call one time that was very much similar to that. It was at a plant over here in the Skyland area. They had a big electrical switch gear that 3 electricians were standing in front of, and it blew up, and it fried them.
Oh.
And they were alive, walking around when we got there.
What?
Yes.
Like, just were they still with it?
Skins falling off of them. They were coherent. They were talking, and I was a paramedic then, and I was assigned to one of them. So I was assessing him, and he looks at me, and he says, "I'm going to die."
Oh.
He says, "I know I'm going to die."
That is...
And I said, "We're going to do everything possible for you that we can do for you. So hang in there." And he died in about 3 minutes later.
Yeah. He knew he was...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was awful.
Oh, God. Yeah.
That's before we had CISD, too. So I had to put up with that and live with that.
Yeah. Like, how are you still put together so well? Really.
I have a good sense of humor, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I guess so, because it just, from the day that I met you all the way up till now, like, it just, did you ever have to, like, maybe it's too personal to ask. I don't know.
No, go ahead.
I don't know, therapy?
I never had therapy other than what they had through the CISD teams. And eventually I became one of the members of the CISD teams that went out and talked to people.
Oh, wow.
That helped me a lot.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, my when my dad was in the service, it was right at the time when they were doing the draft and all that. Yeah. And he was a great marksman, but he never had to go out into the field. Yeah. But they made him, when they were up, I don't know how the whole thing goes. Like, if you can assign, or they can assign you to do this, or if you can apply to go do that or whatever. But he was in charge of knocking on the people's doors, telling them that their loved ones have died.
Oh no, that's got to be tough.
That
man.
yeah, and
Yeah, that's awful.
he moved into this one apartment, or he was living there, and this lady just moved in, and it's like one of those apartments that have, you open up your front door, you can look directly at their front door,
Right.
and the lady across from him, they were leaving to go to work at the same time, and she turned around and noticed my dad, and my dad just didn't really like. She looked at him like very spookily or whatever, like, oh my god, like,
Was he in full dress uniform?
no, this is after like
okay.
time had passed.
Okay.
And but she never forgot Dad's face.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm telling her way back then.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then sure enough, she moved out within a week just because it was just too much to take because of looking at my dad. Of course, looking at my dad's not very fun, but but just in general. And I'm like, man, I couldn't even imagine like just going through all of that, like even like doing what you have done. See, I guess that's another reason why I never like jumped in there, because I don't like.
Well, it takes a certain kind of person to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And today, I told you we had waiting lists back then.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we can't find enough people.
Really?
Even the paid positions in Asheville, we have a hard time finding firefighters that want to commit the time to get their certifications and be a firefighter.
Really? Huh. I would have thought that it would have been like you would be fighting to get into it.
I remember I went in Asheville to take a civil service exam to get a firefighter's position and be hired, and they were like 340 on the list.
Whoa. I would have thought it would have been like 2,000 on a waiting list or something like that. To where
today they do good to fill a class up.
That's crazy to me.
Well, and I wonder if it's not part of the work ethic that people have today.
Yeah.
Which is non-existent.
Yeah. No, that's the truth. Everyone's stuck behind their phones, or they don't want to leave their house anymore.
Yeah. I think COVID had a lot to do with that. But
yeah, I get you.
People in the wrong frame of mind, so to speak.
Sure, I got you. Well, tell me a little bit about the firehouse. Like what did you guys do in your downtime? I mean, you guys.
Well, you've heard about firehouse cooking, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, slinging dogs and whatever, right?
Let me tell you, I have had some of the best gourmet meals
really
in my life at the fire station. And and when we cook spaghetti, we cook enough spaghetti to feed an army.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. It's like 18 guys staying in this one place.
Well, at headquarters station there is at any one time. Yeah, I mean, we do well though.
Yeah.
But, we like to cook. We like to on Sundays we would always go out and get a big meal together with eggs and bacon and biscuits and gravy and pancakes and just everything that you can think of for breakfast, and just have a big feast. And then Sundays there wasn't a whole lot to do but sit around and watch TV, and so we'd eat that big meal and we'd sit around till about 2:00, and then we'd get up and we'd say, okay, what are we gonna do for supper?
Oh, jeez. That's.
Oh no, it was a lot of fun. When I first started, there was a lot of sitting around the station, not a lot going on, that sort of thing.
Pulling pranks on each other?
Oh, we've done that too.
Yeah.
Yes, we've done that. I remember back at Skyland, you could take a pair of bandage shears and short across the little things that come in for the phone system and the alarm system, and you make the alarm system go off. So the rookie firefighters would have your pants, with your boots and your pants on beside your bed, so you can just peel the covers off, jump right into your boots, pull your suspenders up, and run out to the truck. Well, we'd wait till they're asleep.
Yeah.
Then we'd fill their boots about halfway full of water. And then somebody would go over there and short out the thing to make the bell ring.
Oh, that's so wrong.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We've short sheeted beds. We put flour in beds. We would. There was one gentleman. He snored so bad. As soon as his head hit the pillow, he was snoring like crazy. And he was so asleep, and he would never wake up to be able to answer the phone or hear any of the alarms. So we put a bunch of blankets. I think we put close to 20 or 30 army blankets on him and tucked him in. And then we carried him out in the bay, in the bed. Had to turn the bed sideways to get through the door, and took him out in the bay and left him out there all night long. And he did not wake up.
Oh my God! Is it like in the middle of winter or something like that?
No, it was summer. I mean, a normal person would have woke up fighting getting the covers off of him because they were too warm. But he went to sleep. He was asleep.
Oh yeah.
It took a really hard time to get him up and going.
So, oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done a few pranks, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's, every once in a while at work, we'll get into something that probably we shouldn't have, or mainly it's me getting other people's stuff.
Stealing people's change out of their car.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I need a Coca-Cola. Let me see if I can find some of Zach's card.
Oh my goodness, yeah, like Britt's truck. Yeah, Britt doesn't want me to take his truck around anymore because like I kept taking,
Change.
Oh yeah, he'd be like, I'm trying to get a cup of coffee this morning, and I don't have any quarters and everything. And I'm like, man, guess what I just found? About $2 worth of quarters, and now your son's doing it. so now Britt's double screwed.
Oh man.
It's just dumb stuff.
Oh yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah, I mean, you got to pass the time somehow. Right. Especially when you're like just swinging away at hammers and digging up concrete, and it's just.
I'll tell you a story. When I went to paramedic school, and we were learning how to start IVs on everybody. So your partner's the guinea pig. So you lay your arm up there and put a tourniquet on it so you can see the veins pop out and you get them out.
Yeah.
Everybody loved me because I had great big veins, but I had one problem.
What's that?
You could stick me 2 times, and I'm fine. When you stuck me the 3rd time, I would pass out every time.
Oh, I just drain you, or what? Or just like too much?
Psychogenic, whatever. I mean, I don't know. Blood vessels would dilate, blood pressure would go down, and I'd lose oxygen to the brain, and I'd pass out.
Oh, that's crazy.
Always on the 3rd stick.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. That was funny.
Wow. That's like, I mean, I don't mind the sign. Like, needles don't bother me. Needles are like whatever, but then all of a sudden when it comes down to like, Britt shot himself with the actual nail gun, not just a trim nailer, and it went right through the meat of his thumb,
He shot himself with a framing
boom, and he's just like,
nail gun.
Ow! And then sure enough, he goes in there and clips off one end and pulls it out, and then he's like, all right, and he's like bandaging it with like bubble gum and duct tape or whatever the hell he can find at the time, and he's like, let's keep going, and I'm like,
we gotta finish this today, don't want to bleed all over the place.
Yeah, I'm like, no we aren't. I don't think I gotta get out of here. Like, I just got to. But he's like, that kid ran his both thumbs through the table saw. Trying to make his wife a wedding present. He just trying to make these intricate cuts and everything, and then it just ran it just pulled him, and so there goes some of his thumb, and he's like, oh God, okay, got to go to the Sisters of Mercy, get this all done up, and then the next day, I'm trying to be very delicate with my words, right, but. This retard decides that he's gonna try to continue building this thing, and then sure enough, Bobby, your son, is on the other side trying to help him, catch everything, and then he ran his other hand through it, and Bobby gets hit with
Blood.
And he's like, okay, I don't think this is not my, I'm done. I'm done. It's done. And then everyone's like, you're gonna go back to Sisters of Mercy? And he's like, yeah. And he calls me up on the way over there. And he's like, you won't believe it. I did it again. And I was like, what do you mean you did it again? And he's like, I ran my other hand through it, and it caught my index finger too. And so I was like, are you going to Sisters of Mercy? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you going to the same one? And he's like, oh, damn, I didn't think about that. And I'm like, you're going to get the same doctor, and this guy's going to look at you like you are, like you don't need to play with any more power tools, dude. Like, wrong. And Brent doesn't hurt himself very often, but he does so, like, none of us are willing to do the dumb crap that he's willing to do, But then again, the job wouldn't get done if he wasn't there, And that's just how the game goes sometimes,
Right.
So I don't know. It's
Poor guy.
yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Wow.
So, have you ever seen? I know this is kind of maybe a weird thought, but have you ever seen someone, with all the accidents that have happened and you said decapitations and all that? Have you seen someone being lit on fire before?
No, I can say no. I've been to a call where a guy threatened to set himself on fire. He poured gasoline over top of him. He had a lighter in the hand.
Uh-huh.
But the police negotiators talked him down.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, did he say why he was like going so crazy? No.
No, not that I could hear anyway.
Uh-huh.
Maybe one of the people was up close to him could, but I was just there to pick up the parts.
I gotcha. Yeah, because I would think that would have been like something within, like maybe you catch someone on fire like once a year or something like that, just from trying to get out of a building or,
Well, I've got a good one here I can tell you about. We had a car crash on South Charlotte Street. And it was a bad car crash. It was 3 cars involved. They must have been racing or something. One was on fire, and we had 2 people trapped. Couldn't get them out.
Uh-huh.
And the police, that's close to the main station there. The police came in there, and they surrounded the whole incident.
Okay.
They had police cars pulled in the way, that sort of thing. And I knew the major that was there, and I said, Ted, I went up and talked to him. I said, Ted, we appreciate y'all being here, but you've got us blocked. We can't even get equipment or even personnel in there to save these people.
Whoa.
Can you have some of your officers move their cars, please?
Yeah.
Candle moth syndrome to the umptooth. Because they didn't ever think of that.
Yeah.
I mean, they just went and got as close as they could to it so they could see what's going on, and
Sure.
and they were in the way, and we had to do our jobs. We had to get in there with the jaws of life and foam lines and everything else to get to save these people. But they finally moved the cars out of the way, and we were able to get in there to it.
Wow.
And they must have been 14 police cars.
Jesus. Really?
I know.
That many?
Well, it was so close to downtown that everybody came.
Oh, yeah. Well, how long ago was this? Do you remember?
Probably 95.
Okay. Well, because
I'm old, Zach. I'm old.
Hey, Asheville's grown so much to where it's like now, like trying to even get across to, it takes 40 minutes to get to downtown now,
and sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, and back then it was only like, you could get to the BB&T building and.
Well, I could drive from my house in Oak Forest to work in about 12 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, and now, no way.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
I mean, it has. Do you still keep up with? I'm sure you do. Like some guys from the department and that sort of thing.
We have a retirement breakfast once or twice a year, and I get to see a lot of the guys that I worked with.
It's
and,
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
To see that.
Yeah, to just catch up and.
Yeah, catch up, talk about, tell old war stories like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's yeah, and if you want to get some war stories, you just need to be a fly on the wall to hear some of these guys talk about
Oh,
this.
I bet. Yeah, I mean, you could sit there for hours just.
Oh gosh.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the things. No, you didn't. Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I bet. I
Yeah.
bet. Yeah. Man. I'm trying to think if there's like, I mean, it's just over the last like week, like what I like want to ask you, and then things like,
Well,
things like
I
display and just,
can, a little bit more about my career. I would have stayed longer than 31 years with the fire department, but I've always sort of been the techno nerd, so to speak, of the fire department. I was there. I was over their division for logistics, and I was in charge of the fleet management, all the fire trucks, the facilities, all the fire stations. I had all that. I did all the repairs and did work orders to get stuff done for that. And the radio system, and of course the computer system.
yeah.
And we had a software that we used in the computer systems that all the stations used, and it was a records management software that we did our calls. We'd put our calls in it, and we'd do our instant reports and that sort of thing about what happened. And I was a system administrator for that and kept it running and so forth. Well, the people that sold that to us, they were there doing some upgrades and installing some new software. And the owner came to me and says, when are you going to retire? And I said, well, I can retire any time. I'm having fun. I don't want to retire right now.
Yeah.
And he says, well, I see sales in your future.
I see.
Sales? What do you mean? Yeah, going around. You know all these fire chiefs around the country.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Says you just be perfect to sell our software.
And
I said, well, I like your software. I think it would help about any fire department. And he said, yeah, think about it and retire. Well, I thought about it for a while, and finally I said, okay, I'm going to do that. So I retired from the city, and the next day I went to work for Emergency Technologies, a software company in Raleigh.
I got you.
Now, that was a great job, and let me tell you why it was a great job.
Yeah.
I got to travel to every state in the United States except for Alaska and Maine.
Whoa. So you have seen and.
Yeah, and see, I was real active in the National Association of Fire Chiefs.
Okay.
And I did a lot of seminars and things for them at their annual conferences and things. So I knew a lot of the chiefs around the country. So, it sort of gave me a step in to the chief's office to sell the software. So, I've got some big fire departments under my that I've sold in Dallas, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Columbus, Ohio, Horry County, South Carolina. That's the Myrtle Beach area.
I see.
Some big departments across the country that I've sold to, and some small ones too. But it gave me an opportunity to do a lot of travel, and I really enjoyed that. That was fun.
Yeah, and also to just to help. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I think that's what's in your bloodstream, right?
It's always, I'm always wanting to help people.
I mean, once you're in it, you're in it. I mean, I think that's the right way of putting it, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Big heart.
I'm vested, so to speak. Yeah.
And vetted, Yeah, that sort of thing. Because, well, also it's like it's still dealing with the same, I don't know. I don't want to call it a business or anything like that, but you're still a part of the fire department and always
will be. It just right now I am on the board of directors for the Skyland Fire Department. I don't do any
Oh.
firefighting or anything, but I'm at the management level of their board of directors, and we try to guide them and provide policy and procedures that we think is good for the community as well as the department.
Sure, because that's the number one thing, right? Is the community.
Right.
I mean, more
That's
than
what it's all about. Back in the early 1900s, this country kind of founded because of the volunteer fire departments. It was the volunteer fire departments were the center of the community. That's where the community met. That's where they had made decisions about the community and all that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it's volunteer fire department up in north. They call them fire companies, and the fire companies were not really. They were insurance companies. So if you wanted fire protection, you bought a medallion from this fire company, and if that medallion hung on your house and your house was on fire, they would go in and fight it.
Oh.
If they didn't see a medallion on the outside of the fire department, on the outside of the house, they would say, "This is not one of ours. We can't help them."
no shit, really. Oh my god.
That's gone way beyond that, but that's the way it originally started with Benjamin Franklin and all them. He was one of the original volunteer firefighters, Benjamin Franklin.
That is wild. Just even like, oh well, too bad. Like nope, gotta bypass them.
Well, let me tell you about after I worked for the software company.
Sure.
Well, I'd worked for the software company for 8 years, and everything was going really well. I'd done well. And then the company got bought out by a big company, and they let me go. First time in my life I'd ever been fired.
Oh,
So, But, I put application in for a different place. I was getting old then, so, they wanted young people. They couldn't say that because it would be discrimination, but that's exactly what it was.
Oh yeah. God, I wish I could say that.
So that's when, Zach, I decided to get my real estate license.
I see.
And then I got my real estate license, and I went to work for Beverly Hanks, and now Allen Tate Beverly Hanks. And,
okay.
That's
So
where I'm at now.
Okay. All right. So you switched.
Yeah, I had to switch. And people says, "Man, why don't you just let it go and just sit on the beach and relax?" And I say, "Well, I'd like to do that some, but I get bored and I got to do something."
Yeah.
Got to do something.
My dad tried to retire for a year, and then he was like, "I ran out of 2.5 Men episodes, and now I don't know what to do with myself."
Yeah.
So he was like, "I'm just gonna go work at Enterprise and just drive cars."
Yeah.
And now he comes home and he's like, "You know what you can get me for Christmas?" And I'm like, "I don't know what. You can get me a new a Hyundai Kona, Corona, I don't know, whatever it is, whatever,
Cars,
yeah." I'm like, okay. I'm like, and then I look at it and I'm like, "You can't even fit in that thing, Dad. You're 6'6". Like, and he's like, "I got more leg room in that than any other car." And I'm like, well, okay, well, I guess you aren't driving anymore. Your Taurus is, that's all he drives, Dad, is a Ford Taurus. I mean, he drove one to where I think a long time ago Ford had this deal that if you reach, it was like 400,000 miles or 350,000 miles or gazillion miles or whatever, right? That if
they give you a new car?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "Dad, you just gave up 2 opportunities for 2 new cars, And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I'm like, "Why didn't you do that?" He's like, "I didn't know that was a thing." But now, now he's like, "You and your sister and your brother got to get together and start saving some of this money so I can get one of those Hyundai cars." And I'm like, "Well, I don't think that's going to happen, Dad." But, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
But, where are we at on time there?
We are looking at 55 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's good.
Okay.
I mean, I learned a lot more than, sitting, because usually whenever you and I sit down and everything, it's always like, a knock at the door or the phone's ringing.
Oh yeah,
or
there's always
like,
something going on. Yeah,
you know, it's like
I got another client that's wanting to buy some property or something like that.
so
you
is
know?
something. You know, I got to go make a drug deal or something. Or, you know,
no.
whatever it is, you know, like, yeah, like I think I remember at the time, like it was about when I was coming over to the house when you were when you just got out of the department, I think, and that's when you started selling, doing the sales job.
Yeah.
You know, because you were around the house all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and you weren't
unless I was traveling.
Yeah.
I was on the phone or something like that, you know, trying to make a deal. But yeah, my whole thing that I wanted to do is get an appointment set up to go and do a demo of the software. Because usually, if I could get in and demo the software, they would buy it.
Yeah, because you had your print on it already.
Yeah.
You had your, you know, it's like building a house, and then if someone were to come in there, they would have to take out what you already did and then try to figure out what you did, and you know.
Yeah, and it's so customizable. The software, you could customize it to your needs. You didn't have to follow. We had a flow, but you could tweak it.
Right.
You could tweak it. Yeah.
I gotcha. Very cool. Very cool.
Zach, thank you so much for the socks.
Thanks for coming out, Dad. For real. Like, this is, yeah, you know. I'm sure the other ones have been like monitor cleaners or, you know, waxing your car or whatever it is.
Thank you.
Know?
That's very thoughtful. I'll have to figure out something to get you.
No, please.
No.
Oh,
Really.
oh, God. Here we go. Well, Dad, thank you for coming out.
Oh, you're so welcome, Zach.
Please, thank you. It means a lot.